Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt, back at it.
Yeah,
Let's go, lady.
let's go. Today, fun topic for us. Hypnosis
Yeah.
curious.
It's really, well, I'm the curious one, and you're the hypnotherapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will be really fun for us to have this convo because I don't really know much about hypnotherapy. I believe in it. I know a little bit. I know the power of it, but I don't really know much about it in any detail. And you're a certified therapist in it and have practiced it for a long time with patients, with clients, with yourself, etc.
Mhm.
So I can't wait to dig into this.
Well, and I do want to give one caveat. So I have not been doing, so there's hypnosis and self-hypnosis, and that's one of the things that we wanted to like talk about a little bit. And I just want to say one of our sort of taglines as hypnotherapists is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So that's just something to just keep in mind is like they're not totally distinct. It's just sometimes you could say, is the therapist in the room or not, you might say.
Or is there an audio
Yeah,
of the
component.
therapist? Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, so today we'll go into like what is hypnosis, probably dispel a bunch of myths. Like when I first learned about hypnosis for myself, so I could talk about my journey through. We'll say that for another time. But I had a hypnotherapist, did hypnotherapy, with her for a while. Then I got so curious in it. Number one, because, where I came from with my coaching background was a lot of like addiction and people with severe eating disorders, 30, 40 years and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of like you got a major overhaul in there. You got to get some serious tools because there's a lot in the way with addiction that keeps those patterns in place, right?
Right.
And so I was really drawn to what else was available. Like, how else could I help these people unpack? And, because the typical therapist works with an eating disorder client and not even treating them like in recovery, 7 years. Like 7 years is the average.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and it's like,
Wow.
who wants to be doing this for the next seven? Like you, when you want it done, you're like, no, I kind of want that change now, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was like, all right, well, how else? How else are people getting results? How else are people, transforming addictions to whatever they are or improving? You can do it on like stopping doing things and starting doing things, right? And we'll go into a list of like ways that you can use this. So, um, I think one of the things I just wanted to touch upon, and we said this a little bit before we went on air, is I really see hypnotherapy and just hypnosis in general becoming more and more mainstream. Like, and maybe it's like a West Coast thing because I'm in California, we're in California, it's a little more adopted, but or acceptable, if you will. But I could definitely see as part of the consciousness movement, and I mean, hypnosis has been around for hundreds of years. This is not like, oh,
Mhm.
developed in 1990, or 2007 or something. It's like,
Totally.
and actually, hypnosis, what it is, and maybe this is a good time to just talk about that, is hypnosis is just a state of relaxation. And so, one of the things I think that helped most of my clients or people that are like, hypnosis, it's woo woo, what is it? Is you're actually in hypnosis lots during the day. And people don't realize it, right? So, some really easy examples. So, it's states of mind. So, if we think about being at rest, like asleep, is
Okay.
like alpha, like you're out, right? You're not conscious, if you will. Brain, you've got activity and stuff like that, but you don't remember anything, or you won't conscious. Sometimes you remember your dreams, whatever. But then we're up here in active mind and actively engaged, and then there's states. So like that drowsy, sleepy on your way to sleep. So you're like, I'm just laying there, but you're kind of still having thought. That's hypnosis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's all it is. So
Hmm.
hypnosis. So I look one of the ways that I really started to distinguish it as I was getting trained in it. And the funny thing is so when you do the certification, you're hypnotizing people, like you're in class with people and you're practicing, so I'm
A
hypnotizing
lot,
people a lot. Yeah.
practicing a lot.
And I was getting hypnotized a lot, right? So they were
Yeah.
doing it on me. So there was one day where I got hypnotized 5 times, and it was like, wow, it was amazing.
Dang.
Yeah, and one of the things I can remember, because I don't do it actively with clients right now. Like I don't have my office and people come in and I hypnotize like on the daily. I mean, I was doing it a lot. Is like I would tell my clients this, like I just recently gave blood and they're like, oh, drink water and take it easy tonight and no heavy lifting things, whatever. And like when you go get a massage, they're like, be gentle with yourself, drink some water. Hypnosis is like that. Like it's such a deep state of relaxation
Mhm.
that it's like you like don't make your brain do hard things after this, if you will. Just
Mm.
like it's like I would kind of liken it to a massage for your mind, right? Like you
Oh,
go in and
that's fascinating.
you get a massage and you feel all like, right? So depending on the length of the hypnosis and what you're doing, I mean, you could just go in for like a little tiny thing, but it's such a state of relaxation for mind and body. And you and I know the subconscious is your body, basically. It's an expression. So when you have this relaxed state of body, your mind is still active. So in hypnosis, you're not asleep. It's not like you're not there. You're actually like one of the common questions, like, am I hypnotized? Like,
Totally.
like one of the first things you'll go, am I hypnotized?
Yeah.
Like you'll ask that or wonder, and it's like, yeah. So anyway, I
So, a couple questions. I'm going to ask lots of questions
oh,
today. What's that,
oh,
babe?
your audio broke up on me for a second. Say it again, please.
Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah.
So, one of my questions is if it's that state of relaxation, we'll just liken it to that kind of, minutes or time before bed sort of thing. And it is a massage and really a reprogramming of your brain. We'll get into all of those things, how it works. There must be an ideal time to do it because an example would be we probably don't want to hypnotize somebody 5 times a day, even though you were in classes and this is just how it went, right? It's like
Right,
when
right.
I was studying holistic health and we were doing therapies over and over and over to learn the therapies, and you're like, I'm pretty sure this is not how we should do it in the real world.
Cleansing 5 times a day.
I'm exhausted.
Chiropractic, somebody's like learning chiropractic. You're like, I don't think I need another adjustment. Thanks. I'm good.
Don't touch me. Totally. But there must be an ideal time for it to be most effective, correct?
Yeah, 100%, especially when it comes to self-hypnosis. So,
Ah,
like I said, you always have two states of hypnosis per day. I guarantee you probably have 100, but you always have two, right, in and out of sleep. Okay.
in and out of sleep.
In and out
Okay.
of sleep. So the number one best time for self-hypnosis is coming up from sleep. The number two best time for hypnosis, self-hypnosis, is right before you fall asleep. And the other best time I would say is just like after lunch, kind of midday. But there's no wrong time to do it. Yeah, and
Okay.
and it's not the I've had, so with good practice and good practitioners, I've definitely known when people in my chair go so deep and not asleep, but they just go so deep that they kind of like come up and they're still a little groggy, so they're sort of like in that state still. And, and I do everything to make sure they don't drive, leave driving, because you don't want hypnosis driving or heavy machinery, all those
Right. Exactly.
warnings,
Disclaimer.
yeah, warnings and stuff. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So,
So attach it to a siesta is the ideal.
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, it
Because the
makes
brain
sense.
is naturally in that state, right? So, like what I'm doing right now, so one of the things we're going to talk about is I'm doing a lot of self hypnosis. I'm actually, like in a run, like doing it 3 times a day. I'm doing it at those times. So, in the morning, in the evening, and midday. And there's ways that you can trigger yourself to go into a hypnotic state that, you can put yourself in quickly, if you will. Um, and it's, it's great, I mean, so I'm doing it at those times and just I do it before I get out of bed, like sit up in bed, get my headphones on. I do have a program that I listen to. So,
Mhm.
and maybe this is a good time to talk about it. So, I had heard about the Silva method. You probably heard of it from the 70s or whatever. It's making a comeback. I don't know. Well, in my world, anyway, it seems like it. So, I had never did any of that work. It wasn't part of my hypnotherapy practice, but as I look into it, it's very much self-hypnosis basis, it feels like. So
Okay.
and I find it to be quality work. Like I'm listening to them and I'm doing that material and it's awesome. It's awesome. So it feels good to be back in, strengthening that muscle. And I really think that that's where, like for me, um, there's, and we'll go over like some of the possible use cases or how could you apply this or, why would you do this? I mean, people do it to run faster, jump higher, those types of things. Some people, like we talked about addiction and habits and stuff. Mine is like, I found that my brain was going so much to scarcity thinking and just like these, like, I just saw these negative pattern loops that I'm like,
Mm.
that's like, no. And I did a little work with a coach therapist on narrative therapy, which helps me see like one of my stories was actually one of my inherited stories from my parents, on scarcity. And I was like, hold up, right? At least getting it out of my subconscious and getting it where it was, I was conscious that it was in my subconscious helped me. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
attacking that one, but I'm doing some other things through my self hypnosis that are, you know, retraining those pathways. So I'm not going down this scarcity, 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 mindset.
Let's kind of, you were starting to go there, like walk us through what you're doing. So you're listening to an audio, but like from start to finish. So, A, what's your intention behind doing the series of hypnosis, self hypnosis sessions, or audio driven self hypnosis sessions, however they're called? And then what's like the walk us through it for the
Mhm.
virgins in the room? Like, what
Yeah.
does this even look like?
Why would you
Because,
do that? Yeah.
people visualize weird things,
Mhm.
that whatever they saw in the movies or on TV and they think zombie apocalypse kind of
Well,
bizarre things.
and people do see what we call stage hypnosis. So
Oh,
so
yeah.
hypnotherapy, and then there's stage hypnosis, right?
Yeah.
Which is even surprising to me. I'm like, damn, how do they, I mean, I did take one class, which was, I wouldn't call it stage hypnosis. They weren't training you to do that, but I was like, I could see how these techniques, like crazy things, like you just pull someone's hand and they just like go right into hypnosis. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And they fully were like, I saw it all like hours of it. I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So it's not, we're talking about a totally different thing. That's totally possible and sure, whatever. But like, just so you know, like a lot of social media is hypnosis. All right.
Mm.
Because you get very doom, scrolly, scrolly,
I call
relaxed.
that a trance.
Well, and that's hypnosis.
Okay. Okay. That's
So
wild.
watching television, so why TV, in the days of old where, you and I, we would sit and watch television or our parents watch television, you're just kind of like checking out, right? Like you're in, so hypnosis, have you ever been to a movie and you're like so in the movie you like forget that you're in a theater, right?
Oh,
That's like,
okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's hypnosis.
Oh, dude, I think I hypnotized myself on the treadmill today. I know that sounds freaking weird.
No, totally.
But I do meditate while I'm moving, so why would this be any different? And I was doing a particular type of workout where I was lifting really heavy, then running on the treadmill, lifting really heavy, and then running on the treadmill. I was doing this really fun, crazy
Mm,
ass workout.
mm,
And every time I went to jump on the treadmill and like kick it up, like go, it was 5 minute treadmill sessions. I just got so tunnel vision. I literally was staring at a plant, one plant outside the window across the lawn. I was just like literally like, "Nyeh, da, 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 da," and I was ramping up my pace doing intervals and then stop and then back to, and I did that 3 times. And every time I just got on this plant
mhm.
and I didn't think about anything. My body was just
Doing it. Yeah.
doing it at a remarkable pace, form, everything just felt in sync. It
Yeah.
was wild. My breathing, everything. It was remarkable.
I,
And I just thought, what am I? I had a lot of caffeine. I'm just crushing this workout. I didn't think about the mental side of it.
Yeah, well, so one thing that translates for me, and so there's similarities of how I think that could, I mean, it's surprising me like you could be that much movement. Like I think about me on the treadmill, I'm so spastic that like if I like just focus on one thing, I'd probably hurt myself. So I'm like, could you do that? But I could see you.
Well, remember, I'm an ultra runner. We go zombie apocalypse a lot. We go into trances all the time.
No, it is. Yeah. I think that's
Oh,
why you
that's
enjoy
funny.
that so much because I was thinking about that for you. It was like, a lot of your just hours and miles of running is trance. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about your session. So
Okay.
you go into each session with an intention?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
so you can have, so like there's training, so like learning how to do it. So like some of it was I'm just learning the Silva method. Like
Oh,
I don't know how, I haven't gotten to the bottom of I'm literally just cheating and going on YouTube. I haven't bought anything. So I'm just like finding their library online. I'm like, oh, what's this one about? And, doing it. So there's a couple I think that they do regularly, sort of like the core. And then I'm sure it feels like there's lots that they developed over a lifetime of study of this. They've got a bunch of them, but some core ones. Like the first one is just like self-hypnosis 101, like getting yourself, let's say, with intention. How do you take yourself into a trance state, right? How do you go from this active mind talking to me, blah, 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 to bloop, you're in trance, right?
okay.
So some of their videos are just that over and over again. And then they can be laced with. So this is kind of like hypnosis 101 is whatever we call them inductions. So whatever the induction is to get the person into the sorry, not the hypnotic state, to get them in a state where their body is calm, mind is calm, they're open to subconscious, messages that they want to have, programmed, transformed inside themselves. Whatever the induction method is, and there's lots of them. Like on the stage, it's like boop, yank their hand, boop, they're out, right? Like, wow. But it could be so, and then it's various phases in the session of what you're programming. What are you doing, right? So definitely I've seen and have done, guided journeys, so metaphors, the brain loves metaphors. So sometimes it's like guided journeys of pictures and whatnot, and the brain um, takes the story and interprets it, right? So like I'll do ones that like give people confidence or releases baggage or, gets them self-expressed or gets them in action where they're procrastinating, different things, right? So there's that. So whatever it is, and it can be very hyper specific for you. So if you work with hypnotherapists, they're literally, when I would take an intake with my client, it was like, what's going on? What's holding you back? And a lot of times when you think about hypnotherapy, one of the key things is I know I should do something and I'm not. That's like fucking perfect for hypnosis.
Yeah, that's pretty much everybody has those things, if not one significant, many, many, many. Okay, so this really makes me feel strongly about you having a practitioner, a hypnotherapist, because having the conversation is also a critical element, which is, it's a type of coaching. Understanding, you're talking about intakes and conversations in advance, what's really going on with the human
Mhm.
rather than just plopping somebody down in the chair or just listening to an audio of whatever. Like, you're a unique person, and your particular programming for the hypnotherapy should be unique to you.
And that's where, so like if you have an outcome or result or something you specifically know you're being held back by, like I can't lose this weight, I can't stop whatever, like you said, you're wanting to do something and you're not doing it. If you've got that hyper specific, yes, and through self hypnosis, I can tell you how you do it yourself. But I think number one, go work with somebody because the way that they'll language it and they'll know they'll put it in and they'll create a cadence with you. Maybe it's like 3, 5 sessions or something. They'll have you come back on the weekly. Just really will fine tune that, So definitely. But there's like a lot of hypnosis can be very just generally well-being. You can do a lot for your health. Like if you just want to maintain healthy body, you want to like the one with Silva. One of my favorite things that he said is, every day in every way, I'm better and better. I'm like, what the fuck? That's brilliant. That's just like golden. Like in the
Sign
subconscious,
me up. Sign
that
me up.
that message inside the subconscious, it can solve a lot of, it's sort of like it's like a disinfectant. It can just like clean
Yeah.
up a lot of bacteria quickly. It can just
Yeah.
like,
It instantly reprograms the stuckness that many people sit in. And what immediately came to my mind too was people who are ill. I've got 3 people that are in cancer battles right now and talking about their nervous system and different things going on with them and how to work with that. Hypnotherapy could be an amazing tool for anyone in chronic pain and illness and all of this stuff, whether it's mental or physical.
well, imagine so two of the most remarkable, and I'm sure there's 10 that I don't even, two of the most remarkable, I think, just touching upon what you said, when we go to the body, like we were talking about like mind and stuff, like, oh, habits and stuff. Hypnotherapy for childbirth is
Mm,
a thing. Hypnotherapy for dental work is a thing.
wow.
No Novocaine.
Yeah,
Like
that's crazy.
crazy amount of work. Yeah. So hypnotherapists go into the dentist office with you and they will hypnotize you for your session with the dentist. Like,
What?
and they're like,
So
nope,
basically, to put it in simple layman's terms, since that's who I am, it is a type of therapy, and you can use a therapist, a practitioner to, utilize this therapy, just like any of the therapies that are out there. And the more we have these tools and different types of therapies, the better we're all going to be, because society is suffering if people haven't
mm,
noticed, right?
mm,
So this is one of those therapies, but it allows you to get yourself into a deep, relaxed state, to be open to changing programming. That's kind of how I'm vibing this. Am I on
it
track so
has
far?
it has so many that I want to say there was like a list of 200 common uses of hypnotherapy when we studied like 200 common, right?
Wow.
And not to mention all the ones that people I don't even know, like the dental one is not everyday common, but it's common. Like there's like it's a thing. The childbirth thing, it's a thing, right? Surgery, like these are not unheard of, if you will. So phobias, fears, I mean, like you name like that one I gave you, like if you've got something that you know you should be doing and you're not, that's like like that's a classic one. If there's like things that you want to get better, I absolutely would use it for anyone that has the inkling of a start of a disease or a breakdown or a malaise or some sort of disease that they're starting with. You can even just do like I talked about, like that every day, every way I'm getting better and better. That's just like disinfecting, just like wipe that shit on everything,
Yeah.
And you can also get very specific with like, I mean, there's people, and I would venture to say, if we studied them, that transform illness, like deep illness, into recession or, cure themselves, like blindness, that type of stuff. It's probably because they broke through something in the subconscious mind and they did that through a series or some hypnotherapeutic style work, trance like work, putting themselves or working with a practitioner or whatever.
So how does it work? What's going on in this subconscious
Yeah, I wish I could do it so we don't have like slides
graphs?
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I used to always, whenever somebody would come to my office, the first thing is I'd draw them a picture of their mind and just so they'd understand. So, you've probably seen this classic meme on social media where there's like an iceberg and you see like the top of it and then there's the bottom of it, right? So that's probably the closest that you can visualize like for now. So the top of the iceberg is your conscious mind. That's what you think is listening to me right now and translating all this.
Running the show. They're
La, la,
running
la.
the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. The subconscious is what's
Wrong.
under the surface. Exactly. So that's like your identity, the stuff you're doing, the things that you're doing that you don't want to be doing. Like that's where all this,
Programming.
yeah, that's leading to disease and all whatever it's, doing. So the that where the your
Water
brain,
gun.
yeah, your brain has a so the human brain as a baby, little baby come out, babies, kids are in a natural state of hypnosis and all the time, all the time. So like, I just want to do a little disclaimer here for some parents. Kids up until about the age of 6, 8, 10 are always in hypnosis. That's why they're
Hmm.
so creative. That's why it's like you can tell them like, oh, Santa Claus, whatever. They're like, oh, they can like believe it, right? Because it's like poof, like they have no filter, right?
Mhm.
And then about that time they start not believing in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy or really, Dad, like those kind of like they put that's that filter. So you have this natural filter that starts to form over the brain that protects the subconscious. Because if we were walking around totally in trance all the time, and social marketers would have their way with us. They're already having their way with us, but we would just
Very little discernment might be happening.
exactly, exactly. So the brain forms this natural filtering to protect, what you've created, let's say in the subconscious, right? Like this is sort of like baked in. This is who you are, so good, bad, or otherwise, right?
Mhm.
So things come in the outer world. So this is where, I mean, one of the great things I've seen people use it for is like deep learning. Like they want to learn stuff fast, hypnosis, and then deep learning because it just goes right in. It's almost like inserting it into your programming, right? So
Wow.
hypnosis is like if we took that filter and we just opened it up and we opened the
Okay.
doorway and you said, okay, I'm allowing myself to be susceptible right now, right?
Hmm.
So for example, when we go to a movie and we get so into that movie, we're allowing ourselves to be in a trance and be taken away with where that director wants us to go. Same with commercials and social media if we're not paying attention, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so
Unfortunately.
yeah. So, and you want to be careful where when you open up that doorway, what's going in, right? So have that be very intentional, being very self efficacy, like giving you agency, more powerful, more of who you are, that type of a thing. So that's all it is. So what hypnosis is it opens that doorway to your subconscious mind, allowing messaging, allowing new programming, allowing replacement programming to go in, right? Sometimes if you can note where the root of an old program is, right? Like working with a good hypnotherapist, they can like
Let's
talk,
say I was a smoker.
yeah,
I
and
know
they'll
it's
say,
used a lot for smoking.
yeah, so say smoking, and smoking is typically tied to two things. One, it's like your friend, or it's cool, right? So that's often it. So like the hypnotherapist can go in. I have a friend who like hypnotherapy smoking one session. Fucking A. Been
Mhm.
smoking for a long time too. I was like, damn. So they can go in and they can help with the root of what's created it or caused it, right? Like that person's like, I know I shouldn't be doing this because I, and they even know what caused it, right? Like my
Mhm.
dad did that and I still do that and I show up
Mhm.
in relationships and I let him walk all over me, whatever,
Mhm.
So yeah, so it can go in and help break up that root and like sort of like pull the weed, if you will,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
plant a new seedling in there and then you water
Wow.
it. Yeah.
What's happening in the brain? How is that working? It's like you're in this state where you're open,
Mhm.
the veil or the covering or the protective, elements have been
Yeah. So
pulled back.
a lot of the way that the brain, so a couple, there's a few ways to share about this. I don't know, it's like, oh, it's this one, it's not that one.
Yeah.
So your
Yeah.
brain is very much programmed in pictures and images. We love to hear words and stuff like that, but the most responsive hypnotherapy is actually in pictures, right? So
Oh, okay.
oftentimes when I like working with people, I love creating metaphors for pictures for
Mhm.
their mind because the mind is less, this is where being in a story, like why adults love parables and stuff. Because,
Mhm.
like, it can slip past that subconscious brain's filter of, like, what's this story about? And then it goes, oh, that's good.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so some of it is pictures, so you're planting new pictures in the brain. And then
Got it.
there's a lot of the brain is neuro associations, right? So like these things
Mhm.
are related to these things. And so when you have addiction, you've got a lot of neuro associations going in a direction and bound up on a
Yeah.
behavior
That's
that, mm,
this is the problem. This
yeah, it's all
tied together. Yeah.
exactly. So part of hypnotherapy can break it up, loosen it, and then give it the new pathways. Like, okay, this is what we're doing now. So here's for like this isn't even totally related, but I noticed this morning, right? So I've
Mm.
been doing some of my own programming. So just this morning. So I have this idea, and we haven't even talked about this because this has me to do with me coming to Coachella Valley, by the way, and there's a whole story about that. So we'll talk about that. So there's someone who's having an event in Coachella Valley in the beginning of May, and my scarcity brain would have been like, oh, I'll ask Samantha if I can stay there, and I'll do all this stuff on the cheap, right? Like all, and I was like, and I know from having gone to other conferences and da da da, like proximity is key, right? Like staying with or being around those people or those
Mm.
impromptu, like, oh, you wake up for coffee and then you bump into somebody at the Starbucks in the hotel lobby and, right? Those synchronicities. And if I say somewhere else or whatever, like I limit that. And so this morning I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Going to that event, and I'm still deciding if I am, but I was like, if I go to that
Yeah.
event, I'm totally going to stay at that hotel. Like,
Mm.
and that would not have occurred to me before. So I'm just
Mm.
saying, like, so it's not always like a linear thing. Like it can be very linear. It's like I remember I was working with this one gal who had, I called it like a caboose. So she would eat dinner, and then the caboose was she would eat pie or dessert or something like that, right? And I was like, we got to let go of this caboose, right? So I helped
Mm.
unhook that from, the tie-in, right? We talk about the neuroassociations. I was like, let's unhook that, and it just stopped that pattern of like the what drove her into the kitchen after dinner or what had her
Mm.
mind go thinking about that or looking for the dessert or whatever. It's like we walled that off and it was like, nope, the caboose is not on the train anymore. So
Mhm.
it can be very like more just discrete and linear like that, or like mine just now, which was like I didn't even know when that scarcity mindset turned abundance mindset would come up, but that was it starting to show up.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, it's a rewiring. You
Totally.
know, it's completely a rewiring, and you can fixate on one thing, like I want to stop smoking, or I want to do XYZ,
Mhm.
or you can focus the therapy on a scarcity mindset or a victim mindset or a whatever addict mindset, all of the things, right? We take on these personas as
Mhm.
part of our identity. So it can be this giant thing that you're re really just breaking down. I kind of like the idea of thinking about it as scars and scar tissue, because
Yeah.
I am a physical person
Yeah.
and very, knowledgeable about the physical body and scar tissue and muscles and all the connective tissue, blah, blah, blah. So I like the idea of like going in and, breaking down that scar tissue, those
Mhm.
lesions that have had that arm, muscle, brain, body, person
Not fully.
stuck
Yeah.
exactly in limited range of motion, in limited capability,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
And in breaking that down and rewiring that area, creating health again in that area and getting
Mhm.
full range of motion, movement, and all of a sudden they can build a bicep or they can do a lunge or they can, whatever the hell the thing is they want to do, run again.
I mean, imagine if, and I love that, analogy. If, for me, for eating disorder, I had 100 trails going towards overeating and like no pathway to healthy non whatever. If you apply that kind of repetition like to something that you really care about, or like, like some people can take it too far, you go to bodybuilding and then you get like super into bodybuilding or whatever, you could supersize it a little too much, and some people, but like apply it in an area where instead of it being for harm for yourself, you apply it for good in whatever way that works for you. Like, people want to get up early, they want to meditate every day, they want to go for runs, they want to be a better student, they want to say nice things to their spouse, or, whatever it is, right? Like, apply that sort of programming and those neuro associations towards something that you care about.
Hmm. With intention.
Exactly, exactly.
And I don't even know what the number is, but how much of the time throughout the day that we're basically in this just default mode operating out of these habits, these grooves, these pathways, this programming that's not serving us, but yet we just allow it day after day after day to run the show.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And
Mhm.
once they're programmed, it's just as much, we talk about like how addiction can be very pulling, like a pull to the addiction, like they can't help themselves. You could have them in positive addictions. You could have like positive consequences and train yourself towards things that bring you more of whatever you want, right? Like, I want to be out in nature more. I want to be talking to my friend. You can create those. They seem small or whatever, but use it for good. So I thought of like, okay, what are 10 ways that people could use this practically every day? I just want to like fire a couple of these off. I think we've done a
Okay.
great job of sharing. So, breaking habit loops, right? So, whatever the habit looks like that you're not liking, right? By interrupting the autopilot, reducing anxiety, totally reducing
Who
anxiety.
doesn't have that?
That's thought loops, dude. Thought loops, right? Fruit
Totally.
loops. Yeah. Reducing rewire self talk. I did
Mhm.
that. I've done that from like pity to like fucking amazing, right? Improve sleep conditioning. Hypnosis is used a lot in sleep. I didn't even mention that. Yeah, but helping people sleep better. Shift emotional reactions. So, like, I was just giving that example of like scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, where I was just programming myself for more abundance instead of scarcity. And it just showed up in this, oh, I'm going to go to this event. And how I come into the event or how I start looking at it is a totally different frame of mind. Same thing with like training for a relationship. Like, oh, I want to come in instead of like, what have you done for me lately? But like, how can I be more kind to my spouse, whatever. So it's like setting your, or even very hyper specific things. If you know you have emotional triggers that like, oh, I could line up and say these three things with this person, whatever, working on those. So strengthen identity by reinforcing who I am becoming, like if you're on a path to somewhere, right? Athletes do this all the time, especially Olympic athletes, right? Support behavior change without willpower. We talked about that. Enhance creativity. Yeah. So, I mean, and there's just like, that's just the doorway. Like I said, there's like a list on most hypnotherapy websites of like 200 common uses of it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times people don't seek out these sort of therapies, alternative therapies, maybe we'll call them, unless they're suffering from something. And the suffering has to become
So bad.
so great, so bad, so extreme before they will seek out help or a therapy to deal with it, which is absurd. We're wasting years of life over this, deep ingrained idea that suffering is part of it. It's bullshit. I
Mm-mm-mm.
know, but look around. It's what we're taught and sold and blah, blah, blah. You know what
Do
I mean?
not
And we
fall
all buy
into the
into it.
7 year. Don't fall into 7 years to change something. No, don't. Like I said, seven
You can
years.
do a lot of damage in 7 years.
Oh man, that's just like, well, on the average, somebody's just gonna like get tired of doing it in 7 years. Like therapy didn't help that much. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, don't.
Why not? Or is this something you use in conjunction with mindset training and just habit change training, like those kind of programs? How this just feels like it's
Yeah,
like foundational for being able to do those things.
absolutely. I would say, so why I think I went into hypnosis and I believe so much in it is I would see how much from myself. Like, dude, 20 years, and I'm a pretty fucking willpower person. You've seen me, right? You too. Like, there's a lot of, right? For me, not for me to, for an addiction for 20 years to say I wasn't going to do it that night, get up and do it again. Do it, like just this, like I felt just like I was just beating myself up. And I know what caused that, but like, mindset training is bumping up against that natural filtering that is in place between your conscious and subconscious mind, right? So you have the subconscious that's like, this is known, this is who you are, this is the identity of who you are. It's like, oh, I'm a nice person, like you're trying or whatever. I'm a multimillionaire, right? When people talk about like, oh, affirmations, do they work or do not work, right? It's like, what's down here? Some people have so much that needs to be, purged and detoxified down here that's going to prevent. It's like bullshit. No, no, no. Like we've talked, those neuroassociations, right? So I think of it like a table. And so if I have an idea of myself or can I do something or the way that the world is, it's just like a table with no legs. But if I start to have experiences and I put legs underneath that table, it's like that creates a belief. It's like I have an opinion about something, and then oh, I see it in the world. That person's doing it. Oh my God, now everybody's doing it. Like oh, I'm doing it, right? Like it becomes a belief or a conviction, right?
Mhm.
So when you have these in place, all those neuro associations that create that's true for you, subconscious, whether it's true or not, we've got some people in the world that have done some wacky things. You try to get just this outer like pew pew, like try and like change it from the outside at the conscious level, depending on the strength and depth and how many legs are standing on that table or how many experiences or how emotionally charged it is. So if something has a really strong charge, like people have fear of death, dying, rape, hurt, all threats of all sort. If that's really emotionally charged, all this like, oh no, it's gonna be okay. You can walk down that dark road. Some people are like, I ain't walking down that dark road.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that helps.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Why do people do it? Well, it sounds like there's a million reasons to do it. It's more like, why not try it?
It's you're already doing it. You're already, I mean, like if
You're
you're on
already
social
doing
media,
it.
you're doing it by watching a movie, you're doing, like you running, that was amazing. The one that I was
I
gonna say
mean,
that.
I don't know if that's what it hit, but like based on what you described, that's how I felt. I felt like so in this zone. Some people will call that flow. So what's the difference in like being in flow? And I've had that in other nature experiences, outdoor experiences for sure. For me, generally I am moving my body. It's very rhythmic.
Mhm.
My heart is at a certain beat and my breath is doing this. And like there's this thing that happens in my physical body that allows my mind to go to those places. But is it the same thing?
I think it very much is. So what's happening is you're using hypnotherapy to use that optimal state to do something about your subconscious with it, right?
Okay, so when I was in those states, I should be listening to something, reprogramming my old bullshit story. I need to
Exactly.
get I need to get that queued up.
Yeah. So let me just say one thing about so when we talk about help self-hypnosis, so you can either create a script, and I would not just do this willy-nilly. I would look, use AI or use something to help you get some formatting to this, right? To
Or a coach, get a coach to help you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's where hypnotherapists are like, okay. And a lot of, so it's like AI prompting is a thing where it's like, oh, prompt AI and it does these things really well. Like you're this and do this, right? Same thing with hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapists have a repertoire of wonderful prompts for, oh, you've got smoking. Okay, I know the prompts for that. Oh, you've got the rewiring, let's say,
Mm,
the language and the story. And yeah, there's some nuances to this. So this isn't I don't want people to walk away and say like I can hypnotize myself to become the president or something, whatever. But like can you do some things through like I said, me with self hypnosis right now, I'm working on my abundance, replacing scarcity with abundance and seeing myself, and a lot of it's great when we talk about Olympic athletes see themselves winning the race. That's
Mm,
oftentimes I 10 to 1, I'm guessing they're doing a lot with their body and their mind in a trance-like state.
mm-hmm.
And the imagery and they're just programming their mind with that right over and over again. Like I did that with Ironman. Like I saw myself crossing that finish line and getting the medal.
Yeah.
So you
And it's
can
not just visualization. You need to be in a certain state, this hypnotic or whatever state we're talking
trance.
about, flow
Yeah.
state,
Yeah.
to be able to receive that, to be open to it, and to receive those visual cues, et cetera, those verbal cues.
Yeah, yeah. And so the thing, just as like a PSA here, is like social media, oftentimes people are just like hanging out, head down, in bed or whatever, just like you're probably very close to a trance state, and whatever you consume at that time, so I used to never have one of my big things with clients is like never watch the news before bed because you're
Right.
likely in a
Exactly.
trance-like state or coming out in the morning
Or
and
listen
going
to it.
right to emails. That stuff's most likely going through that barrier. So whatever you consume, absorb, or environmentally are around, your mind is open. So
Mhm.
it could get populated in there pretty quickly. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably maybe why when people go to bed and then they have these dreams, I don't know exactly all the things about dreams, but like sometimes things that just came into your sphere, if you will, or into your body or into your emotional body or energetic body, however you want to call all this, will show up.
Mm. Hmm. Totally. Well, and there's a whole body of work in hypnotherapy around dream analysis too. So
Oh.
it's like I started to learn a little bit about it. I didn't do deep into it, but there's a whole thing about dream analysis.
Girl, you got to do that. I dream all the time. We got to start figuring these things out.
And then the other one is your handwriting is a part of hypnotherapy too. So like how you write stuff or whatever that says, and you know how people say, so that you can do that with handwriting analysis and then also like physical cues. Because a lot of things hypnotherapists were trained to do is like see what's going on with the person's face and their body and stuff as they're going into hypnosis. So there's lots of nuances to this. And I don't want to overwhelm people with all of it, but the basic was what we talked about, which is the induction, something that brings you down into that trance state. You have a period of whatever distance and length. It doesn't have to be very long. I mean, like hypnotherapy session can be like 15 minutes, with a couple minutes for the induction, the trance, and then it's really key, remember, coming back out of it, right? So if you leave that doorway open to your subconscious mind, like I'm always like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're wide awake, so making sure you have that at the end also.
What's the best way before we wrap? How can people get started? Like, obviously, they can find you and you can facilitate this, but what are other ways that they can get started if they want to give it a try?
Yeah, well, I would just be curious, right? So I think there are enough hypnosis video. So like one, I have a very favorite hypnosis guy that I just enjoy his YouTube videos. What's his name? Michael. Oh shoot, Michael Seeley, Sealey. So like he's one of my guys that for years I just listened to his. I do his a lot for helping me sleep, right? So I'll listen to his before sleep, if you will. So and again, you're not going to be able to likely go, I have trouble with this in my relationship X, and like going on YouTube and likely finding it. Like that's right. You're going to find more of the generic, like help with sleep, maybe help with some confidence, maybe help with, smoking is pretty specific too. Like smoking is actually quite intensive. Like smoking hypnotherapy practitioners are hyper surgical. Like they get in there, they do some
Mm-hmm.
intense stuff. Anyway, so I would say maybe just play around with some videos on YouTube and see, not play, but like go to some of the popular hypnotherapists on YouTube, like a Michael Seeley, and just listen to some and see if you enjoy it. See if you, and you can listen to it wide awake. So, like, one of the things that some people are like nervous, like, what's going to go in my brain and what are they going to say? Is like, well, just listen to it and don't be intending to be hypnotized. you'll probably be hypnotized anyway, but like don't be intending. Just watch it or listen to it, you know?
Well,
Um,
don't pick some Yahoo who's spouting off some stuff that you
yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
become,
It
you
should be
know.
very calming. It should have you
Exactly.
feel really comfortable with that person, not any like, oh, something's not okay here, you know, very. And even in hypnosis, finding some like there's some out there that I do that have like the I am affirmations, right? And so you can do the induction to go in and then just listening to the I am affirmations. It's like program like I'm a beautiful person. I take good care of people. I'm loved or whatever, you know, and then they can bring you back out. So those tend to be a little bit longer and some, I don't know. I'm a little more hit or miss on hypnosis on YouTube or whatnot. I would say if you really have something you want to work on, like there's a blank that you want to not have anymore, work with somebody professional. You know, like do the
Yeah.
work and try it. But
It's a
you,
therapist, you know. Be
yeah,
selective.
yeah. But if you want to start, just you know, just like meditate. There's meditations and yoga videos out there. There's hypnosis.
Mhm.
Just to give it a little sample, you know, and you'll find your favorites and then you'll find that you're just some, you know, like, oh, this person doesn't do it for me. You know, like I'll listen to some and I'm like, oh, this gal's voice, I can't stand it. You know,
Energy, voice, all of it has, you
and the
know,
music is bad.
has an impact. Exactly.
Yeah.
I might have you do one up for me for my pre-training, like when I'm going to go into a big training session or something like
Oh,
this. I kind of
wow.
like this idea.
That's so fun. So fun.
I know. Maybe one for like my long runs and then one for like my gym sessions. Yeah, I'm going to crush it.
Well, and then you can just have it in the background of like who you
Totally.
are as like the general, you know, it's like programming yourself. You know, remember when in the Matrix where they're like, "Oh, I need to know how to fly that helicopter," and they're like, "Blah, blah, blah," you know, can fly the helicopter, right? And so like program you for like I want to be X many miles runner a week or speed or I want to whatever, and it's like it will just like your body will get there. It's amazing.
I love this. I love this.
Yeah. So well,
Thanks for
thanks.
sharing one of your many, many, many talents with our audience and with me
For
today.
sure. Yeah, and I just, you know, like we called it hypnosis curious because I was like, we've been talking about sober curious, and I'm like, come on over. Like, I think this is just going to become more and more mainstream, you know, as people go, oh, that's like sitting on the couch and getting into a movie. Oh, I'm doing it right before I go to bed. It's just the state of theta. That's all hypnosis is. With hypnotherapy is to work with it, you know, or, you know, elite athletes use it, you know, in high intention. Yeah, put it to work for you. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So what's our
Thanks,
one
lady.
thing? Like, let me see if I have any notes here. Like one key takeaway. So you're already experiencing hypnosis every day. So like make it work for you, right?
Embrace it. Embrace it.
And
Exactly.
you know, one of the things I found just with working with a lot of people with addiction is to get at that identity level, hypnosis is one of the key ways to get into those root things that either you want to pull out the weeds or put in something new at the identity level, like truly some reprogramming. Like I don't want to be doing this to myself or the world anymore. And then self hypnosis is really fun to play with, you know, as a just a tool in your toolbox of your self development. So.
I'm going to play.
Yeah, let's go. Well, thanks for letting me talk about this. This was really fun. So,
It was.
do
It
you
was
have any
great.
takeaways for you? Anything that you discovered or
No, but if I'm going to play, everybody should play.
right?
Let's play.
Let's go. Let's get
You
curious.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing we spend a lot of time trying to improve our lives, ourselves, our physical body, our emotional body, our career path, our relationships, our financial status, blah, 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 right? This is an available tool to you that you can do it for free if you're going to do the self hypnosis, right? Why not try it?
Right.
Why
Right.
not try it? And I can't tell you how many people from the athlete side of my world and even business professionals are always like, how do I get in flow? Or even creatives. I want to get in flow. I want to get in flow, right? So this is one of those ways to like play with flow and maybe build that muscle a little bit more, build those grooves a little bit more, right?
And
That's kind of turning me on. Like that's one of the reasons I want to try it.
I didn't even talk about something called anchoring, but we could talk about that. That's NLP tied with hypnosis, which is fabulous. So it's like how to create that state quickly. Like I have an anchor. It's basically a touch point on my body right now that if I do it, I go into that state, right? And you can create that like, oh, I want to be hyper focused for business, or I want to be like really attentive and listening for my kids or whatever. Like you can do that with what's called anchoring. So there's so many fun ways. And I like in this, I was thinking about when you said, why wouldn't they do this? Like, there's an inertia. It's like it's so easy to put on a pair of shoes and go out for a walk, right? And it's also so easy not to, right? And it's like it's easy now that you've heard about hypnosis, you hear like it can be very easy to do and it can be very easy not to do. So just know that it's there and it's available, just like walking in nature and getting outside and drinking water for your health. It's also if you just want to ignore it, but like you can find ways through this to take care of yourself and help yourself. Like people who,
Dude, you can feel better because how your life feels is more important than how it looks. Hello.
yes. And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome. We're out.